fine young players. I told Matt maybe we'll have him back next year. Maybe he'll go to the pro level. We had him in high school and then college, and maybe goes to pros. You never know.
Yeah, right. Hey, you don't know. That's the good news. 4-year starter, anything can happen.
You never know who the guy's going to be that makes it to the top.
Right.
Back in your college days where you got to Guilford, did you ever coach any guys that made it onto the pros?
I had one guy that played arena football with the Philadelphia Soul. I had another guy that was questionable about being drafted, but more importantly was more going to be an undrafted free agent, but decided to go work for his stepdad and in a company that he owned, making 6 figures right out of college. So that was good news.
That was a good move there. That was a good move. How about the 6 figures of numbers for Guilford College? Last year 8-2, and this year the goal going in is, tell us about it.
Well, we'd like to win them all. It's like I tell the story that when I first got here, we did a preseason voting in the conference, and I tell the story very simple. When they sent out the preseason voting, they said, "All right, look, rank the teams from 1 to 8 on where you think they're going to finish." And Guilford came off an 0-10 year, but I ranked Guilford number 1. So when the sports information director from the Old Dominion Athletic Conference reached out to me and said, "Hey, you know you voted yourself number 1," I said, "Yeah, what coach wouldn't?" So they had to change the policy at that point, and they sent out a new poll that said, "You got to vote 1 through 7. You're not allowed to vote for yourself anymore." So from that year on, we were going to get 1 first place vote. But as I tell everybody, I think we're going to win. I just go into every game thinking we're going to win them all. So this year, maybe the expectations should be there because every year we've been climbing the ladder. 8-2, maybe a 9-1, 10-0 year. I mean, that should be the expectations for us.
And the hard part is about these jobs in sports or any place in life. You had a great year last year, but you can't enjoy it. You can't just embrace it because now you've got to get on and do something more and do it again. You got to top what you did the time before. Last year's gone. This year's starting almost all over. And the hard part is, too, you've got to put aside those 2 losses. You just can't focus on Shenandoah and Hampton-Sydney.
Right.
You've got to take care of all these teams.
Right.
You've got to make a statement from game 1.
Right. Our focus has always been 1 game at a time. Even last year, the year before that, it didn't matter who we were playing. We were always just 1 game at a time. And that's not going to change this year either. You know, I mean, a lot of people are talking about this game coming up and our next game and the next game and waiting to see that Hampton-Sydney game. Everybody was pointing to week number 9 in terms of the external part of our program. But we have to tell our guys, you got to get back focused and we got to play 1 game at a time. Because that game 9, that week 9 may never come. You know, the world could end tomorrow. Who knows? But you got to play one week at a time and just stay fully focused on that. So I think that is our focus. Our players do a great job with that. They don't overlook any opponent. We haven't in all the years I've been here.
And the ODAC as a whole, you see that as a strong conference this year. And besides Guilford College, which I know you have confidence in, who else in this ODAC should we look out for?
I think it's a strong conference. One of the reasons I was intrigued by the job down here was this conference, getting to know a lot of the conference schools in it. I think from top to bottom, it's one of the strongest conferences you're going to find, meaning the lower end team of that year could always beat the top end team. You never know what you're going to get, and that's proven with Shenandoah. Last year beating us, the year before that beating Hampton-Sydney. So, I mean, it is going to happen. You know, I think every team obviously is always going to be up there for a push. It's really, really hard every year to project it. You know, when you ask for my vote, I always, you know, I'm going to vote for the team that I felt was the best team the year before. And Hampton-Sydney obviously got my first place vote this year. One of the reasons is we haven't beaten them in the 4 years I've been here. So, you know, that's something that I got to have respect for.
You think about a Hampton-Sydney and how tough they've been. No letdown up there for some reason. I mean, they just keep doing it year after year after year.
Who's that, Hampton-Sydney?
Hampton-Sydney, yeah.
I think they got a great program. I mean, they do a great job recruiting. It's a great school. I think they can sell people on the winning tradition. I think Guilford College has gotten to that point. I mean, our first year there, we had to convince Matt Pulaski's, Tyler Hunt's, and the guys in the local area to not leave Greensboro, and to go to these other opportunities, whether it was a Division I, Division II, partial scholarship, walk-on, whatever. We had to convince them to stay here, that we were going to build something strong. Now that we're winning, recruiting has gotten a lot easier, especially in the area. People are familiar with us and what we're doing, and winners want to be a part of winning. And then, you know, again, you look at our young kids now in our freshman class, we're getting guys, Dwayne Norcott out of Northern Guilford, we're getting guys out of all these different schools that want to continue being part of the winner, and we're very excited about that.
Yeah, like you said, once you start having success, people decide, I want to be a part of this because they want to go someplace that's winning.
Right, absolutely. You know, it's like winning is contagious. We tell it within our program. You see it in our campus community. People are excited about where we're at and what we're doing. And, you know, again, our guys just work hard every day to get that going.
Tell us about the Gate City Soup Bowl, what this Soup Bowl means to the Guilford College and Greensboro College communities.
I think obviously to our players, the most important piece for us is the game itself. I mean, that's what we prepare all camp for, all year for, to play our first game. But I think what's really neat around it is that it does bring the internal campus communities together for a cause of obviously raising perishable goods, or non-perishable goods, I should say, for the kitchens in the area to feed the people that are in need. And I know our program itself raises anywhere about 1,500 to 2,000 cans in the football program. to donate towards this cause. So one thing is our players, start to give our community service starting the first game of the season in doing that. And then, of course, the Guilford County and the Greensboro community itself coming to the game, and, all the proceeds of this game are two cans get you into the game. So everything we do around this game is built around not only the game itself and the entertainment, but also the giving back to the Greensboro city.
How big is that rivalry with you and Greensboro College? Is that a pretty good rivalry too? Because you got a couple of teams here. It seems like they're a good fit.
Yeah, to me, it's a rivalry because obviously it's inner city. You got two schools that are within 10 minutes of each other. Somebody asked me the same question yesterday, another reporter, and I said it's a rivalry because I think the fact that our coaches see each other almost on a weekly basis at some point, whether in a store, around town. Their offense coordinator lives in our backyard at Guilford College, so there's connection there. Our players know each other just from being around town. I think the other part of it is not being a conference game sometimes makes the rivalry a little bit more difficult from a coaching perspective, because the reality is, I would guess, for both our programs, our ultimate goal is to win a conference championship, and then obviously try to do something in the national playoff. But again, when you're in inner city, it is a nice bragging rights. There is a trophy that comes in at the end, and I think because we do see each other quite often, it's a nice rivalry.
It's the kind of thing I guess you get the community coming back and attending that game year after year after year. So like the community would want to get involved in it and come back on an annual basis. Because it's at Jamison Stadium, not too far from your place. Right. This is your place. Greensboro College is going down Friendly Avenue. You're right there.
Right. I think the crowd does. Someone asked me that too. Does the crowd get bigger and bigger each year? I think when it's been at our place and it's been a 7 o'clock kickoff, I think the crowd was much bigger. Not because it was at our place, but because it was cooler. People were more willing to come out for a 7 o'clock game than a 1 o'clock game in the beginning of September. When we were at Jamison Stadium, 2 years prior to this, it's been hot, 1 o'clock, 90-degree weather. So this will be the first time we play Jamison Stadium at 7 o'clock, and I think that this will hopefully entice a lot of people to come out and get excited about what we're doing.
Expectations for your team this year. What are your expectations for this team?
I think the first one, obviously, and the politically correct answer would be to win the first game. But I think the expectations are to do better than we did a year ago. I think with 19 projected starters, projected coming back along with Tyler Hunt, and in terms of our specialists. I think to win 8 games again would be a letdown. I think to win more than 8 games would be very exciting for our program. I know our senior class who have been here and been a part of the turnaround of this program since the beginning. They've never had a losing season. So I think another winning season is expected. But I think they want to play an 11th game, and I think that's really important for our program.
And for Guilford to make the playoffs, how big would that be?
It'd be huge. They've never done it. They've never done it. I think it will help put our program in a map. It will help us do something that we have set ourselves as a coaching staff when we arrived here in 2011. Our expectations were to turn this program around and get it to that point. We figured it would take probably 4 or 5 years just to start being turning into winning seasons. We're in year 5, and our projection is to obviously go out and win a conference championship. So we're way ahead of schedule where we want to be. Our players that we recruited bought into what we were trying to do since that class of Matt Pulaski and Tyler Hunt, and now we're at that point where it's their senior year, and we want to make it special for them.
What does Matt Pulaski mean to this team?
A lot, but I think our motto has been very simple since we arrived here. We're only as good as our number 2 quarterback, and I think that we say that even though our number 2 quarterback has never had to play in a situation that's been kind of critical. That's not true. We had a 3rd down last year in our homecoming game where the game was close at the time, and we had to complete a 3rd and 12 pass, and Matt's helmet came off, and our number 2 guy had to come in the game and complete a 3rd down pass. Most teams would have just ran the ball, kicked the field goal, and been happy with it. We threw that 3rd down pass, and he made a heck of a throw. So the truth is, Matt's doing a great job. Matt's putting up exceptional numbers. Matt's doing everything that you think a quarterback should do. But I'll tell you, our number 2 is also one of his closest friends. Believe it or not, I don't think we're going to skip too much of a beat if he had to go in a football game.
What about, we had a question at the website today, so I thought I'd bring that with me tonight. What about Nathan Stoner? What about the kid from Eastern Site? Were they in school? Are they on the roster? What's the word on those two?
Well, Nathan Stoner was having a good camp along with Carson Sharp. Carson Sharp had some medical issues that he had to leave camp for. He's on campus. He's taking classes. We're hoping that he gets back into it with us in the spring. Right now, he's taking care of some medical things that he had to take care of that were going on back at home. So we're hoping for a return from him in the spring because we think he can be one heck of a quarterback and compete for the job in the future. So we'll see where that plays out. But he is in school. Nathan was in a situation, too, where, he was working hard in camp. And, knowing that he wasn't going to be the starter, we looked at Nathan in a point of camp early on to give him an opportunity where we currently had 2 tight ends in our program. One was a freshman, one was an upperclassman returning. We thought Nathan fit the mold. We watched some of his highlight film from high school. He's a physical, dominant linebacker. When he played defense, we asked him to move to play tight end. I think at the time through camp, he was starting to kind of, lose that love and feeling, obviously, for the game of football. And when we asked him to move to tight end, he decided that he was going to give up the game of football. So he's no longer with the program.
What's his word about will he still be in school at Guilford?
You know what? Honestly, I'm not quite sure where he is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting too, because sometimes everything people often believe and think for the coach, it's all cut and dry. It's never all cut and dry.
Right. No, it's not. And you know what I told Nathan, it's unfortunate. Nathan's a great person. I think he could have potentially even played quarterback, maybe competed in the spring, and we talked about it. And, you know, I just think college football was not, I mean, he said it, 2 broken collarbones, you know, out for 2 years. It was his arm strength was not really where he wanted and hoped it would be coming in as a freshman. And we knew we could get it back to that level, but we thought he could definitely help us out at tight end this year, being one of 3. And we thought it would be beneficial to continue to learn the offense and then basically go back out there in the spring again if he wanted to compete again. But I think he was realizing that maybe his career was coming to an end.
What about the other young man that visited with us tonight, Tyler Hunt? What's his presence on this roster, on this squad mean?
I mean, Tyler Hunt's huge, you know, but again, I think one of our programs that we build it on is depth. We got to that point, but Tyler Hunt, obviously, you know, he's been kicking the ball, probably averaging over 50 yards a punt this year in camp for us, kicking the ball to the end zone you know, consecutively in kickoffs. His field goals, I mean, he made a 52-yard field goal in our scrimmage. So, I mean, the guy's an exceptional leg. He's an exceptional weapon for us. And the good news is we made an attempt to go out and find a kicker for the future. And we brought another young guy in. It's a freshman that's doing the same types of things behind him and hopefully learning from him so that when Tyler leaves, we're hoping we don't necessarily have to miss him as a player. We'll obviously miss him as a person.
Coach Chris Rusiewicz with us, Guilford College. Football, big game Saturday night over at Jamison Stadium against the young men from Greensboro College. What about this kid, Hunter English, coming back this year? What about the return of the lister? Because we had him here a couple of years. He came to Shane's Rib Shack as one of our guests. He walked in the door. We didn't even recognize him. This kid's so small, but he's a very hard-working and a hard-hitting player.
Hunter Hayes came into camp his first year with us. That was our first year when we weren't very good, obviously coming off the 0-10 year. He ended up starting for us that year, was an all-conference, led our team in tackles as a weak side safety, fell himself on the field. I mean, we want to talk about our hard work. And he played middle linebacker in high school, so we found a spot for a smaller linebacker to play in our system. Obviously, you know, the next year he broke his hand and had some issues there. Last year he tore his ACL and had surgery. He is back this year, and unfortunately, day 4 of camp, he started having some hamstring injuries. He's been back to full strength on Tuesday. He'll be out there this weekend playing on special teams, and we're hoping to get him back and acclimated and get him back on our defensive unit at some point throughout the season.
Just kind of gradually working back.
Correct. Well, you know, he's got to recover from the injury, yes.
Exactly. Now, as far as practicing where it goes, and you play on a turf field, and you probably practice on that turf field. What about the game with a grass field? Do you move back over to New Guard Road, get back on a grass field to reacclimate yourself to the grass?
We get our kickers and punters over there. But no, I mean, there is a difference, but it's really not that much, especially when you're playing on a good surface. I mean, I think Grimsley's always had a fairly good, tight surface. I mean, if it's going to rain, it's going to rain. I mean, there's not much you can do about that. But no, you know, our thing is having sharp practices. And, you know, if we're at 100% and all cylinders at practice and we go to a situation where the conditions aren't where we want to be and we could be at 80%, we're going to be doing all right. We don't want to practice in a situation where it may affect our practice abilities.
It's the start of another season. What's that feeling like when a new season comes around for you? I mean, you've been kind of off season, and you get to the preseason work. Now the first game's just a couple of days away. What's that feeling like for you as a coach?
It's exciting. You know, I talk to our players about the difference between being anxious and being excited. I tell them, you know, you're always excited Christmas Eve to wake up the next morning and see what's under your tree and see what's going on for you there. You're never really anxious. Anxious is a way where you're 50-50. You could have failure, you could have success. We don't look at anything like that. We look at everything as excitement, an opportunity to go and succeed at something. Something positive is going to happen. And that's how we took this season. You know, I think you mentioned earlier about just kind of, you know, where we're at in the season and where we're at. I think a lot of people say handling success is a lot harder than handling failure. And I think when our expectations coming off an 8-2 years, co-champions, and doing those types of things, going into the season is a different feel. I think our players have higher expectations. They're very excited about. They want to get the game started. They want to get the season started, and they want to see if we can continue on beyond what we did a year ago. So I think we're all excited and really, like I said, just kind of getting excited for this weekend.
Do you follow other college programs and look at things beyond D3, other schools? Watch a lot of football? Do you have time for something like that?
You know, I used to watch it before I got into coaching. I used to be a big NFL fan, and I really don't even watch NFL football anymore. I don't have time time for it. I do enjoy the college experience. You know, I think there's a lot more amateur, a lot more playing for the love of the game. I watch it when I can, but to be honest with you, I watch a lot of it, you know, obviously for a living. So, you know,
Probably glance a lot of football on TV, right?
I do. I mean, I'll follow the scores. I'll see what's going on. You know, there's coaches out there that I know at different programs I want to obviously see have success, and you know, I'll keep tabs on them. But you know, you kind of look at games differently when you're a coach than you do when you're a fan. That's for sure.
Do you have a coach you talk to on a weekly basis, and who did you get your philosophy from? The coach you're doing now, where did your background and all that come from?
A lot of my coaching philosophies and I should say mentorship came from books. Leadership books from successful CEOs, leadership books from head coaches, from the Bear Bryants all the way up to the Urban Meyers and so forth, and everything in between. Coaches that people have never heard of. I mean, I just like to read a lot of books and help me get that way. I do talk to a lot of different coaches. No one really a big name, and some with big name when I get a chance. And just I'll ask them certain questions about things that maybe I'm looking to do from a leadership perspective. When it comes to the X's and O's, I really do leave that up to my staff to get better at that.
What does Guilford College mean to you?
I love this place. You know, I think when I had an opportunity to look at this institution, you know, through the end of my career at Ursinus College as the defense coordinator, I had, you know, 5 different head coaching opportunities thrown at me in that 3-year period, and turning them down was hard. Being a young coach, a couple of them, and then I interviewed here, and I interviewed at another school the following day, and I wanted this job, and I didn't know much about the place other than when I visited, I realized it was a beautiful facilities. Greensboro is a great place to live. I knew I could bring my family down. I always thought it'd be nice to, you know, retire in the Carolinas. So I got an early start here. My family, it was hard to bring her down here, but she's been here now 5 years, and she tells me, you know, let's never leave. So as long as Guilford likes me and keeps me around, I think we have something good going on here.
Things seem to be going pretty well for you so far.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah. What team strength this year, team weakness this year, going into Saturday's game?
I think strength. I can't put my finger on any position, specific position, but I think it's the fact that for the first time we have experience. And I'm talking about depth with experience, meaning obviously with 19 starters back, then you wonder, okay, well, what's the backup situation? Is it all freshmen? No. In our 22 starters, or I should say out of our 44 two-deep players on offense and defense, we have 3 true freshmen in that group. That's it. That's the least we've ever had. And those 3 freshmen are pretty talented and earn those opportunities. So I think we have so much depth along with our experience coming back. That's our biggest thing, that, you know, next man up is going to be a little bit more fluid than it has in the past. Our weakness, you know, it's really hard to say that we really have one, but I think it's just more or less just gelling with our offensive staff. You know, we kind of had to revamp and bring a new guy in to coach our quarterbacks. They're having to gel together. You know, I wouldn't say it's a weakness. I think they're doing a heck of a job, but I think if I had to find one weakness to put my finger on, it would be making sure that offensive staff is ready to gel in our first football game.
Is Coach Maynard still with you?
Coach Maynard is with us. He's been with us all 5 years, and he takes on more and more roles every year. Now that he's retired from teaching, he's in that office a lot more, and I think anytime you win, these people want to be around a lot more, which is nice.
It's no problem getting those guys to show up on time for work anymore.
Yeah.
Is it? Right now, it's pretty good.
That's right.
Coach Rusiewicz, how did I do? I did this without looking today. Put that together there. Didn't do any cut and paste. Just did that, wrote that, did that on my own.
The only thing you're missing, the only thing you get rid of that V, you did it right on.
Not bad. Came close. Coach Chris Rusiewicz from Guilford College, Saturday, 7 o'clock at Jamison Stadium versus Greensboro College. Time to make a statement for the 2015 season, right, Coach?